Namekians are asexual. Their process of reproduction is unlike most species. It requires no partner, no union. Instead, they give birth by spitting out eggs. That's how you were born. Your father chose your appearance, your height, and most importantly, your clan. A Namekian can belong to one of two clans, the Dragon Clan or the Warrior Clan. The choice is not yours. It is made for you based on the needs of your tribe at the time of your birth. The Dragon Clan are gifted with magic. Many can heal wounds, some can create objects from thin air, and a rare few, the most gifted, can forge Dragon Balls themselves. At the time of your birth, the Dragon Clan made up 84% of the planet's population. The rest were warriors. And so you were created to fight. Warrior Namekians exist for a single purpose, to protect the planet. They're born with high power levels, but that alone is not enough. From the moment you could walk, your training began. You were lucky. Your master was one of the strongest warriors on the planet. A hero who had saved your people countless times. You admired him. You wanted to be like him. From him, you learned more than just martial arts, energy manipulation, and combat techniques. You learned history. You learned traditions. You learned that Namek was once an advanced civilization, before the great weather catastrophe erased almost everything your ancestors had built. If not for Elder Guru, your race would have been lost forever. Now the future rested on you. Your generation would carry the burden of rebuilding Namekian society, restoring it to its former glory. And then there were the Dragon Balls. Your people revered them, not as mere artifacts, but as sacred objects. They prayed to them. They protected them with their lives. When you first learned of their wish-granting power, you asked the obvious question, why don't we use them to restore Namek to its golden age? The answer was firm. The Dragon Balls must never be used for selfish desires. They exist only for times of true need. Years passed. You grew strong. Side by side with your master, you defended Namek from countless threats, space pirates, invaders, those who sought the Dragon Balls for their own greed. Time and time again, you prevailed. Until the day you didn't. Until the day he arrived. Frieza. His army descended upon Namek like a storm, burning everything in their path. Villages were reduced to ashes. Warriors fell one by one. Your master, the strongest among you, never stood a chance. You survived, barely. But survival was not victory, because there was no one left who could stop Frieza. No one on the entire planet. As soon as you could stand again, you sensed them. Power levels so immense, they sent a chill through your body. The Frieza force, no doubt, but someone was fighting them. Who? You rushed toward the battlefield, the urgency in your heart, battling the fear up your spine. The closer you got, the stronger the power levels became. Overwhelming, terrifying, beyond anything you had ever felt. And when you finally arrived, you froze. You had never known fear like this. It wrapped around you, sinking deep into your bones, paralyzing you. The sheer magnitude of the battle made your presence feel insignificant. You weren't strong enough. You weren't ready. If you joined in, you wouldn't make a difference. But you watched, you couldn't look away. From the shadows, you watched as a group of warriors, outsiders, people who had no connection to your planet, fought with everything they had to stop Frieza. You saw them defy death itself, pushing beyond their limits, refusing to surrender. Some of them were weaker than you, yet they still fought without hesitation. And then you saw him, Goku. The moment Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan burned itself into your memory. A golden warrior standing against the monster who had torn your people apart. That sight would haunt you, inspire you, define you. And then the Dragon Balls were used. Your people were brought back to life and transported to Earth. While the others celebrated their survival, you thought only of the battle's outcome. Had Goku won? Had he survived? Then the news reached you. Goku had defeated Frieza and escaped Namek. Relief washed over you. Not just because Frieza was gone, but because it meant Goku was still out there. It meant that one day you might meet him. That maybe, just maybe, you could be one of his friends. Life on Earth was peaceful. Goku's friends visited often, ensuring your people were well. You admired them, the way they spoke, the way they lived, the way they laughed. They were heroes, and you wanted to be among them, but you never approached them. You felt unworthy, too weak, too insignificant to stand beside them. So you made a promise. You would train. You would push yourself beyond your limits. You would become strong enough to stand among them. Eventually, it was time to leave. Your people found a new home. A planet you named New Namek. As soon as you arrived, everyone worked tirelessly to shape it into something familiar, something that resembled a home you had lost. But while they rebuilt the world, you had only one thought: training. You devoted yourself to it, pushing your limits, breaking past them over and over again. Years passed, you became strong, stronger than you had ever imagined. But it wasn't enough. You wanted more. Then one day, Goku arrived. You had waited for this moment. You wanted to walk up to him, to tell him that he had changed your life, that he had given you something to strive for. But the words never left your mouth. He had come for a reason. Earth needed a new guardian. And so he chose Dende, a young Namekian who had helped during the battle against Frieza. You watched as they left, and a thought took root in your mind. As you watched Dende leave for Earth, you thought to yourself, maybe one day Goku would return looking for a warrior instead of a guardian. You had to be ready for that day. And so you continued to train. Space travel was rare among your people, but eventually you made the decision, leaving Namek behind to explore the universe, seeking new challenges, new mentors, and new techniques. You trained under masters from across the stars, warriors who shaped you into a fighter unlike any other. Your strength became legendary, your style diverse. But no matter how strong you became, you never stopped hearing the news about Goku, his battles, his victories, the ever-growing power he reached. You heard whispers that he had attained the power of gods, training beyond mortal limits. So you pushed yourself even harder. Through the years, you became Namek's greatest protector. Countless threats came for the Dragon Balls, each one stronger than the last, and yet you stood against them. Again and again, you defended your planet, earning the title Planet Namek's Savior. You were no longer alone either. Inspired by Goku and his friends, you gather a team, a group of warrior clan Namekians who fought by your side. Together you became a force to be reckoned with. And then the day finally came. Goku needed a fighter. The Supreme Kai of your universe himself arrived on Namek, seeking warriors to represent your people in a multiversal tournament, a battle that would decide the fate of your entire existence. This was it. This was your chance. You stepped forward, telling the Supreme Kai of your years of training, of the battles you had fought, of the strength you had cultivated. You demonstrated your power, unleashing everything you had worked for. He was impressed. He admitted that your strength surpassed even some of Goku's teammates. But then he hesitated. He explained that while your raw power was undeniable, Goku's team had something you lacked: experience fighting together. Their synergy, their ability to cooperate in battle, was an advantage too valuable to overlook. And so, despite your strength, you weren't chosen. The words crushed you. This had been your one chance, the opportunity you had dreamed of since childhood, to stand alongside Goku, to finally prove yourself worthy. And just like that, it was gone. Your friends tried to comfort you. They reminded you that another chance would come, that your time would come. And they were right. Because not long after the Multiversal tournament, Namek was attacked. A powerful sorcerer, an escaped prisoner, descended upon your world. A villain so strong that even Goku and Vegeta themselves rushed to Namek's aid. But even they were losing. When you heard the news, without hesitation you prepared to join the battle. And then a thought crept into your mind. If Goku and Vegeta couldn't stop this enemy, how could you? Your heart pounded. Your breath caught in your throat. Fear gripped you, just as it had all those years ago on Namek when you watched Frieza's battle from the shadows. You froze, the same crushing doubt washing over you. Had you changed at all? Had all those years of training meant nothing? Would you always be the warrior standing on the sidelines, watching as others fought the battles that mattered? Would you ever be worthy of standing beside Goku? But this time it was different. Because like Goku, this time you had friends to support you. As panic and doubt consumed you, they stood by your side. They reassured you, calmed you, reminded you of something important. Your fear wasn't unfounded. This enemy was beyond anything you had ever faced. Even with your strength, you might not make a difference. But there is power in unity. They had a plan. They offered to fuse with you. You recoiled at the idea. Namek fusion was permanent, an irreversible sacrifice. If they fused, they wouldn't just be fighting beside you. They would become a part of you, forever. But they insisted. To them it was an honor to be part of their hero, to become one with the planet Namek's savior. One by one they placed their hands on you, and as they merged into your being, you felt it. Your strength exploding beyond limits you never imagined. Your body radiated with power, your energy surging to levels comparable to Goku's. But it wasn't just power that changed. For the first time in your life, you felt completely fearless. Their trust, their sacrifice, their belief in you, it burned away. Every trace of doubt and hesitation. There was no room for fear anymore. This was the moment you had waited for your entire life. You launched toward the battlefield. The day had come. You were going to teach this magician a lesson. You were going to show your hero, Goku, the true power of Namek's savior. As you soared through the sky, you spotted him, the villain who had crushed Goku and Vegeta. You clenched your fists, preparing to make your entrance with an earth-shattering attack that would honor your friend's sacrifice. Then, for the first time, you saw him. Goku was looking at you. After all these years, after all the battles, after all the training, he had finally noticed you. This was it. Watch this, Goku. Here comes the planet Namek's savior. Take this, you piece of shit. Ha! You barely had time to register what had happened before. You were falling. As the ground rushed toward you, you had only one thought before everything faded. Embarrassment. After everything, after all the training, the sacrifice, the struggle, you had embarrassed yourself in front of the one person you wanted to impress the most. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my friends. Your sacrifice was wasted on a disgrace.
Thank you all so much for supporting my stories. As you might have noticed, I had a voiceover guy narrate this video. Let me know if you prefer this, or if you like it better when I do the narration myself. Also, I am trying to get these videos sponsored so I can hire people to improve the quality and make them faster. But every sponsor keeps telling me that my views are impressive, but I lack subscribers. I honestly don't know why they care about subscribers that much, but if you want to help me, please consider subscribing. And see you in the next story.